Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Spirit Journey, and I hope you're all doing well. Yes, good morning, viewers. And yes, those people who are watching, you can write a hello in the chat and just let me know who you are if you like to, and so I can give you a hello back, okay? Yes, I hope your day is going well. And today is April 20th, 2019, and yes, we are live. This is Spirit Journey. And I got up a couple of hours ago and I was watching some videos and I was very, very upset about some of the things that I saw over the internet. I want to try to be as calm and natural as possible. I think more it's the message that I want to convey. I'm not as on edge as I was maybe 2.5 hours ago when I was still in bed. Yes, and let me know how the mic is doing. Is it too loud or anything like that? Let me know. Yeah. So yeah, I was watching some videos and I was very upset. And why I was upset? I was upset because I feel I went through a lot of stuff growing up. Yeah. I'm just multitasking here. Yeah, I was born and raised here. Those of you who've been following me, you know that I'm a veteran. I served in the United States Navy in the 1980s. I've lived in different regions in the world when I was a civilian, and of course when I was in the military, in the Navy. And so my perspective on certain political things that are happening now in the media, I have a particular mindset about it. So when I was learning about this, actually it was two women and their pro-jihadist stance, I really became upset. So it's really weird now when I'm speaking, but when I first heard it this morning around 9 o'clock, I felt like very protective over the U.S. And I've told many times about my life. I was born and raised here, and I never, growing up, I never really felt a part of the system. Like, especially when I graduated from high school and I was exposed to the real world, as they say. And I encountered a lot of discrimination because of my race. I'm a black woman. And I felt like I didn't really belong. And I remember one time I was told that you're not how did they word it? We're looking for the all-American look. And back then in the early 80s, I knew what that meant. It meant that you're black and you're not wanted and we're looking for a white person. And so I've gotten sentiments like that, and then a double whammy that I received also some negativity from the black community, and really in particular the black women of America. So I didn't really felt that I really belonged anywhere. But how I feel now within myself and why I do this channel. Now, my mindset was formed by different experiences, those dynamics, those polarities. And so I feel I understand why certain people, and in this case, a so-called a jihadist. Well, I have to say up front, I am pro-American. I am pro the system. I am pro-Trump. I am pro the continuity of this country, but I will not support anyone who wants to harm where I live. My home is where my heart is. My home also is where I'm physically living. I feel that anywhere you live, that you respect the land and you respect the laws, the rules that govern that specific location where you're staying, because that brings harmony to the general population. That's just how I feel. And even though my beginnings was very rocky, but now I feel more grounded in who I am. I am me. And I feel that to really love yourself, you embrace all of you, the good and the bad, and to learn to try to understand others. So my listening to some of the videos on these women, let me get the person's name here. Okay, and I'm going to share you those videos. Okay, one of the ladies' names in particular, her name is Hoda Muthana, and she was born in the United States, in New Jersey. At least her father was an ambassador. I don't know what country she is coming from. I don't know what country her father or both of her parents are coming from. And so when that occurs, when you're a child of a diplomat, even though you're born in the other country, I guess for her, she received the benefits of living in the United States and being protected because she is physically born here. But at the same time, she is a citizen. Because being an ambassador, you are representing, at least her father, is representing the country where he's from. And so she's also protected by her parents' country. So her story is that even though she was born here, her identity, she is a Muslim woman. And at the age of 19, she moved to Syria to embrace the struggle there in Syria. So maybe her family is from Syria. I don't know. I have to really research that. But I was very surprised that, okay, she married several times there. She was married at least 3 times, and 2 of her husbands got killed. She has a kid from her last union, the person that died. And she decides to surrender herself to the authorities in Syria, and now she wants to come back to the U.S. And I'm very angry. I was very livid this morning hearing that. And so let me just show something here. Okay, this is just a fair use sticker, because I want to show this video here. Okay, now this screen that you see here are some of the videos that I watched. And this is the one, let's see, this one here. Let me just click on it. I'm not going to have the audio because that could sometimes have a problem with YouTube, even though I have the sticker for fair use. let me just show this here.
They destroyed my country.
Okay. Okay, this is her baby. And this woman here that you see on the screen, she's only 24 years old, and she decides to leave the US and to move to Syria and get married. This is her baby. The baby's about 14 months old. And now, just get this. Oops. I'm just juggling here. Okay, so there's no distraction. Yeah. So here, this is a kid. And what it looks like, what she's doing. Okay, she's considered a what do you call it? When you go against treason. What she did was treason. She went against the US and she made threats. Her threats were that to take a car, a truck, and run over people here. And that's a no-no. So here, her husbands are dead. And she, I guess, is afraid now because she's alone. Maybe she can't get married again because now she has a kid. But now she wants to get sympathy. And the sympathy is that she didn't know better. She was 19 years old when she left the country. And now she's using the kid. You know, she's using the kid as bait. Now, the kid wasn't born here. The kid is not a US citizen. And I became angry at this happening. Okay? She wants to see all the pictures that they have with her. She's all smiley face. She's using her baby and kissing the baby, making it seem like, okay, this is a tweet that Trump put up. Yes, I'm very pro-Trump now. Trump doesn't want her back in the US. Trump calls a spade a spade. She's going to leave the country and make terroristic threats on its citizens. And I'm a no-no about that. Let me see if I could just fast forward. Okay. That's her attorney. And again, she gets an attorney of her religious faith. And this lawyer, when he was asked about whether he was in contact with her, he's very evasive. He's making it seem like he was always in contact with her when she moved overseas to Syria to become a wife of a jihadist who's part of the ISIS organization where they did killings. See, one thing that's done in this faith system, but again, I have to preface, just because someone is a Muslim does not mean they're terrorists, does not mean that they wish harm on anyone, okay? This is not about bashing anyone who belongs to a particular faith system. Okay, that would be wrong of me. But what I am saying is that in some belief systems, people who what you call, who are very much the the essence of the, what do you call, when you kill, what they say, what they kill the infidel. There's a thing called tequila. I'm sorry, taqiya. Taqiya is a term, is an Islamic term that if you, let me switch screens here. Okay, the term taqiya, again, I'm no expert on Islam or anything like that, but to my understanding, with Islam, people who are of the faith in an extreme way, taqiya allows Muslims to lie, to when it's about deception, so that they could promote their faith system of taking over. And so when asked certain questions, as this lawyer, when he was evasive about the whereabouts of her, of getting in contact with her, he was in contact with the parents, but he was not in contact with the girl until much later, until now. And so it seemed like the lawyer was trying to suggest that he, even when she moved over to Syria, that he, the lawyer, was in contact with her and trying to persuade her to come back home. But it seems that didn't happen. But he seemed evasive. And so you can just look at this video on your own leisure and put the audio on and really listen to what he's saying and what he's not saying about her. Again, all the pictures that they have of her is all smiley face and showing her kiss her baby. And so I thought that was very problematic. Let me find another video with her. Let me see. Okay. Okay, some other videos with her. Yeah. So she was denied. Yeah, there's a lot of people now looking at her, at these videos with her. Let me just find it. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to navigate here. It gets confusing after a while. Yeah, they call them jihadi brides. So let me just look at the camera here. Yeah, so why I'm angry at this situation is about, she made a choice. I feel in this country, in life in general, we make choices. And she, at the age of 19 is young, and we've all made mistakes as teenagers, but it was a choice that she made. And it's a mindset. Her mind, it seems to me that her mindset, she made a choice to side with the enemy. And the enemy, to her, were Americans. She had made various tweets online discussing how they should kill Americans. And again, she was here in the US when she made these threats. But I feel now, since both of her husbands died, she has a kid, and that now she wants to come back to the US. And she claims that, yes, I was wrong and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's too late, because I think she showed her true hand in the matter. And her true hand, especially her being married to a jihadist, and both of her husbands died, and that now with the kid, what protection does this country, and again, this country has all types of people. It has Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, and Muslims, all these faiths and much, much more. And so when she made a threat that she wished harm on the citizens of America, she's also threatening each one of those different religious groups and all the different nationalities that lives here. And I see a trend that you have people, they could be born here, but just because they're born here doesn't mean that they have an identity as being an American. And it's problematic. So I think what people do should be the thing that you focus on. What people do, people can say a lot of things, but when you do certain things, and when she made a trip over there and made sure she had a kid over there, what could happen is this, especially if she uses the taqiyya laws, that taqiyya, that you could do something to deceive what they call the infidel, deceive any non-Muslim. So it's not about even race, whether you're black, white, yellow, red, it's about ideology. And so now, how do we know that she wasn't further indoctrinated there in Syria, purposely had a kid, and then going to cry wolf, and then bring her kid over here and be used as a terrorist cell? And she'll indoctrinate her kid, teach them to hate the bad Americans. And again, Americans are all different nationalities that live under this umbrella, all different faith systems. All these people, all these true Americans should be protected from people like her. People like her are people who like to, in my opinion, to manipulate the system, and her heart is about anybody that, what she feels like at the moment. She has no love for this country. And I think Trump is doing a very good thing by denying her access back to the United States. It's a smart move. And again, I see that you have people who want to live here, but they don't want to uphold the goodness what America has. Again, America has its bad side, its bad history. America had slavery. America had lynchings. America has a really problematic past. But this is now. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that I was raised in an environment that was very anti-me. But now I take claim to this country. I claim it as my own. Even in its flaws that it has, still it's my home because I live here. And I served this country. I served in the United States Navy, and I'm proud of it. And so when I hear people that want to destroy this country, even though they're born, it's a no-go for me. I remember one time, this was earlier this year, I was sitting down watching, I was sitting on a bench, I had my dogs with me and just relaxing and looking at the cars go by, and a delivery truck pulls up and a man comes out, and he likes dogs, and so he came over to just say hello. That he has dogs also, and he told me where he's from. He was telling me that he gets all his supplies and veterinarian care in his home country for his pets, and he told me that he was from Peru. And on the surface, he seemed like a really nice guy. But when he said what I'm going to tell you, I became very defensive in my spirit. I was very upset, but I didn't say anything, and maybe I should have, but I didn't. I was just listening to him to find out where he's really coming from. He had said, well, in my country, that what he's saying in Peru, that his country has culture, but he lives here in the United States, and how he likes to go to Peru and get different veterinarian care, and things are cheaper there. And I'm just looking at him, and I felt like, hey, he's working for an American company. It was UPS he was working for, and I had anger and resentment towards him listening to him. He's biting the hand that feeds him. What he's really saying is that he believes he has a right to his opinion, that his country has culture, but so does here. But what he's really saying about his true character is that money trumps culture. He's selling his soul for money rather than culture. That's why he's in the United States. You have many immigrants who come to the U.S., who brag about where they're from originally, but they love the American dollars. They love the amenities that America has. See, in their countries, it's not as stable. We have clean running water. We have electricity. We have so many amenities. We have tons of universities and colleges. And I met people from other countries, and they're able to get some financial aid, especially if they're naturalized, or they have their papers. They'll be able to get some financial aid. I know of people from the Caribbean, and they were in this, what they call the SEEK program. SEEK is for like underprivileged individuals, people who come from poverty, whose family historically weren't in college, and they might be like the first generation entering college. They used to have that here, and they may still have that in the United States. But either way, you have people who come from all these foreign countries, and again, there's nothing wrong of being from another country. But what is wrong when you bite the hand that feeds you? When I hear foreigners who have nice, cozy jobs and then say, well, their country has culture. What is it implying? It's implying that this country, the United States of America, does not have culture. But he's willing to compromise his country's culture and live here in a so-called cultureless society for the American dollar. I think that with Trump, I think he's making a very wise choice, and to deny this jihad bride access to America, that is one of the smartest things I've heard in a long time. That person, that woman, should not be allowed back in the United States. And then with sympathy for her child, she should have thought about that before she left, and when she had that first child, her current child. See, I'm learning that you have people who may look like you, talk like you, but are not really representing to adhere to the laws and the customs of this country. And they may smile in your face, but behind your back, they want to destroy you. I've worked in an industry, and I've shared this also. I worked in an industry that I was the only black. I used to work in the hotel restaurant industry in New York City. In that industry, it's tons of people from other countries. It's very few American in that industry. I worked for a five-star hotel. I think it's like 5 star. The maximum number of stars that a hotel can get, and also it was the top restaurant. You know, the stars you can get for restaurants. So it was top in both categories, for the hotel and the restaurant. And I was at that time. This was in the 1990s. This was 1997. And I was very happy to enter into this field. I left the Wall Street, and I said, I'm sick of Wall Street and the financial district. I want to do something creative. I said, hey, I want to change careers. Let me go into culinary. So I studied pastry arts at a school here in New York City. And before I graduated, it was maybe 2 months after I started the school, I got a job in the field, and I got a good job in one of the top hotel restaurants in New York City. And I was excited about the ambiance. I was fascinated with meeting people from all over the world. It was fantastic. I loved it. And see, again, my background, yes, I'm American born and raised. My parents also were born and raised here. And my father was military. He was a veteran. And what else? But half of my grandparents were not U.S. citizens. All four of my grandparents were born non-U.S. citizens. And then 2 of them became U.S. citizens when the United States purchased the island that they came from. So, but when after the U.S. Acquired that island, they later on came to the U.S. mainland and just assimilated into the mainstream New York culture. And then the other 2 grandparents were non-U.S. citizens, but they later became U.S. citizens. So I don't want to come across like I'm here at the time of Columbus in the United States. No. My heritage in North America was for about 90 plus years, but I'm fully incorporated in the culture, the norms, the language, everything, the dress. And so for me, I feel fully rooted here. And again, my attitude about living here, my home is where I live. And so if I was living in another country, that would be my home, and I'll abide to the laws and the regulations and live in peace with that land. But when you live here, in whatever country you live in, and then you bite the hand that feeds you, that's my issue here. And that's why I'm doing this live stream, because I feel that all this is a trend. This is all a trend, this anti-Americanism. Okay? Yeah, this is a trend. And I'm tired of seeing people like this Yes, see this sign there that she was denied. And she was denied in here for good reason. And she's not the only one. You have other women who are US citizens, or at least born here, and then they go overseas and back these Islamic terrorists. Again, not everyone in Islam is a terrorist. You have goodly people. See, it's not the religion that makes you good or bad. It's the essence of an individual. Anyone could acquire a religion. It's who you are as a person. But in this case, this individual, this jihadi bride, is not a good person when she wished harm to take a truck and have it run over people. Okay? This is a problem. This is a problem, in my opinion. And so I start to just think back on my life. What could make someone like this? What could make someone do this? So again, my coming from a background of a Black American woman, and again, I mentioned earlier that I felt like this country wasn't my own. I was humiliated at an event that happened to me right after 9/11, 2 weeks after the Twin Towers were destroyed by terrorists. I had gone to open up a checking account at a bank. Now, this bank was in the county that I lived in, but I would require to take a train to get there. And I wanted to open up my bank at that location because I was relocated back to New York City from Hawaii. And I was just getting like reacclimated because I lived away from New York for a couple of years. And so this particular area where this bank was offered free checking. And it was near shopping. And so I said, hey, let me open up my checking account there. And so I contacted the bank 3 different times to make sure of the requirements, the documents I would need for all this, to open up a free checking account with them. And so I thought about it. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I got all my documents and went to this bank. And I handed the clerk, the representative, my ID. And she gets excited and then calls her boss over. In a nutshell, I was denied to be able to open up a bank account at that specific location because I did not live or work within a mile radius of that area. And also, this particular area does have a high concentration of a particular ethnic group, but which I rather not say. But it was in the Forest Hills and Regal Park area. That's all I say. And you just do your research on the demographics that was living there at the time in 2001. So the manager was a male manager that came over. The person that initially took my information was a woman. Then she calls her manager, this man. And in a nutshell, this man literally said that he did not trust me and that that people like me, referring to blacks, should do their business in their neighborhood. He had a meltdown in front of me. Again, this is 2 weeks after 9/11. Okay, 2 weeks after. And what happened in all this was that he the sentiment back then in 2001, right after the 9/11 terrorist attack, it whites were afraid. Whites were afraid of anyone who wasn't white. And it was like a hypervigilance on people's neighborhoods and territories. So if you didn't look like the people of that neighborhood, even though I live in that county, but not in that specific location, it's called a know your neighbor law for this bank. Know your neighbor means that the bank has a right to deny someone to open up a bank account in that specific location, and that they're being steered to open up a bank account in some other location. So it's discriminatory. But this law prevented me from opening up a bank account at that specific location. I could open up a bank account with that bank, but not at that branch. I have to go to another area. So this is segregation. It's saying if you're not of our group, you're not allowed here. And this happened to me. And when he said disparaging things about blacks, and that he doesn't trust me, and my being a potential terrorist, even though I had all the documents, I'm a veteran, he had a meltdown. And so I understood, later on, I understood his fear. But at that time, when I left there, I left distraught. I was crying, and I felt violated. I felt violated when this white man, and he's sitting on the corner of his desk, and with his crotch up in my face. I kid you not. I was sitting down the whole time, and he was trying to get he was getting verbally aggressive, yelling at me, and then he starts to sing a song to me, a song of mockery to me. I couldn't believe it. He just totally flipped out on me. I did report the incident. I wrote to many different, I wrote to the newspapers. I wrote to the television news. Who else? These unions, to try to bring attention to my situation. Well, nothing happened. Nothing. In fact, I also called up the Federal Reserve. There are two Federal Reserves. There's the head one, and then there's a Federal Reserve that's assigned to each specific bank. So I notified both in writing. And unfortunate, here, see what's up there on the screen. She's saying, yes, I made a big mistake. Yeah, don't trust her. But either way, see, I remember that. I remember the things that happened to me. I know what it's like for someone to say, you're not a real American. You don't belong here. You can't open an account here. I remember that. I remember that sting. But now I embrace my being an American, my being a black woman, and standing up for, yes, I am taking my stand of being an American citizen and not have anyone try to intimidate me. So this is important to know. Yeah, this is important to know about me. So I came out from something that was denying me access. I still remember that man at that bank. It was like I was the terrorist. But if I was somebody else, if I looked a little different, I think he would have given me access. I'm born and raised here in that county. It's ridiculous. And this is what happened. So now fast forward. All these things that happened to me in my own country, and now seeing people who come by and they're not about you. And for her to possibly be using her baby to come into this country, and most likely her parents that still live in the United States will probably take the baby and raise the baby, and she would have to go to prison because they're suggesting that she get prison time. No, I don't. I mean, I don't want her here. See, I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way from hearing like the person from Peru who said America doesn't have, implying America doesn't have culture, but it's good enough for him to make money here. Or when I worked in, yes, what I was going to say earlier, when I worked in the hotel restaurant industry, and the things that happened to me there, the verbal abuse that I got from foreigners, foreign nationals who want to live here, say bad things, or just not like me because of my race. So I'm not going to just have that happen. And I made mention about in the past about the woman that lives near my childhood home, and she identifies with some other group. She's an American, but she lives in a black neighborhood, a predominantly black neighborhood. But then she denied she had the ability to incorporate something in the town, this bus shelter. But because she doesn't identify with the people that live there, and again, she looks like a black person, talks like everybody, acts like everybody, but she's not. And that video I did was very controversial and hated by a lot of people. She claimed to be from a particular group, but is she? I don't think so. But her act, see, it doesn't matter what people call themselves. You could call yourself anything, but she's living amongst a people and denying services. That's my beef. To live amongst people, but deny its services. To deny the people of certain services because you don't like them. That's what I have a problem with. And I think people like this jihadi bride, it's the same type. They get benefits from the country that hosts them, but don't fully embrace. So that seems to be the trend now, to come from another country, keep your culture, keep your language, and badmouth Americans. And again, it's not about a black and white thing anymore. See, I thought being a so-called minority protected me with other minorities, that we're all friends. No, people don't think those ways anymore. They see me as me and they as they, and there's no overlapping. And if they can boot you out of your seat, that's what they're going to do. And I think this jihadi bride is going to do the same thing. They're going to live amongst you. Some may even dress like you. And again, the Taqiyya law states that they could lie because it's to protect Islam and protect its will of taking over. And so if they can deceive you, it's, oh, I'm sorry, I was a teenager at the time, but now I'm older, I'm 24, I learned my lesson, let me come back. Don't believe it. This is an age of deception. There is so much deception going on, and it's rampant. There are people who are trying to take over the current system. Again, it's not a perfect system. It's not perfect. It's things that I don't like what happens here, but I live here, and I'm going to make the best of it, and I want peace, love, and safety for all its citizens and all its legal residences that live here. We're all to be under the umbrella of protection. But you have people who want to turn over the cart. And so they're going to deceive. They're going to come in and get into politics, keep their language, their culture, and then slowly take over. That's what I feel what's happening in the United States. And it scares me and it makes me angry. Again, this video is not about hating foreigners, but it's about being aware of what's happening, of people taking advantage of their U.S. citizen status because they're just physically born here, but they have no love for the nation, and their motive may be to take over. So I know I said a lot, and I felt it was a need for me to do this video because the times are such that people are being deceived. People are being deceived, and we need to wake up. You need to, we have, there are different groups here, and yes, there's fighting amongst us, but as a nation, let's come together and make it work. There's no other place in the world where you can get the types of stuff here that you could physically, you can be of another nationality, but have kids born here in the United States of America, and that kid have all the rights and protections. You can't do that overseas. You can't. It has great institutions. It has a lot of good things that you can get overseas. So I realize this, that the goodness that it does have, again, it's not a perfect place, but it's perfect for me since I live here. Let's make the best out of living here. Let's come together as a whole, and let's start opening our eyes and being aware of those people who may look like you, talk like you, act like you, but secretly they're here to destroy. So that's all that I have to say, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I wish you all to be safe. And if you see something, say something, because you could be next. Okay? Again, this girl had written that she wanted to do harm to us. Don't feel sorry for her with the baby. Don't feel sorry for her. Don't fall for the trick. Don't, because they're going to bite your hand. So she shouldn't be allowed here and jeopardize the safety of its citizens who follow the rules here. Okay, so let her stay with her kid over in that Syria. Let her go to another country, but not to the U.S. So I'm going to stand my ground on this. And again, this is not about bashing foreigners, because this country is made up of all different nationalities, and I embrace them. But I don't embrace those who stab you in the back. Okay? So take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Be at peace and safety. Bye-bye.